The foundation of my life has honestly felt very unstable for a few years. I've had so many times where I've had to pick up and change directions and try something new.
Welcome to Fishing Without Bait, a lifetime without definitive expectations, where we help people explode into their lives through full impact mindfulness. If you're looking to create your life rather than find yourself, if you have the honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness to try, welcome aboard. That's the only entrance requirement here. My name is Jim Ellermeyer, behavioral health therapist, and for those who follow the show, we have offered an eclectic roster of guests. And at time, what we'd like to do is catch up with some guests from our past and find out where they're at in their life right now and how they got there. And we were fortunate enough this evening to have our dear friend Jessie Notarius come with us this evening, who's also known as the Unwilting Tatiana. Tatiana, welcome back.
Good to be back, Jim.
So in reviewing our past conversations, what we'd like to maybe you to recap and bring people up to date, how you got here from there, give the synopsis version of it, because you have a fascinating story.
I guess I do. The last time that you and I spoke, I was a set painter for the Pittsburgh CLO. About a month after we spoke, however, my contract came to an end, and it was not renewed. I was not brought back to the CLO. I didn't do anything wrong. They just did not have the budget for an extra set painter. When that happened, it was awful because set painting was kind of the dream job for me. And it's where I thought I wanted my life to kind of stay and evolve around. When I lost it, I took on a side job just to make ends meet. And then I was fortunate enough to get hired for a benefits administration company. And now I've been there for about a year and a half. And I make sure that people have medical coverage. I help them enroll, I answer their questions, I give them their resources. I do all sorts of computer work that I've never really done at other jobs. And I've taken to it in a way I really didn't expect from myself.
Do you feel appreciated there?
I do.
Do you feel part of? Do you feel you're contributing?
Oh, I do. Absolutely.
Do you feel you have a voice at the table?
I do.
Okay, well, those are the three essentials, or four essentials, because there's few things more distressing than going to a job every day that you dislike.
That is very true.
And from in reviewing our past conversations, it sounded like you had some of those before.
I've definitely had quite a few jobs that I was not a fan of. The side job that I took in between the set painting and the benefits company was one such job. I did hot food service at my local grocery store, and it was a very unforgiving job. It was a lot of hard labor. It was a lot of long hours at very little pay, and mostly a lot of face-to-face unpleasantness from people who really weren't looking at me as a person, just a means to an end. And that's very grating on your personality when you're doing that every day.
What's demeaning?
Just a lot of rudeness, a lot of people just demanding, give me this, give me that, not wanting to listen to you when you say, hey, we have to wait a little bit.
So most people go through life and they make particularly people on social media, they think it's their purpose to be offended.
Yeah, there's quite a few people like that.
Now you have quite a social media presence, so I imagine that you put up with that quite a bit.
Not as often as I used to. I obviously have people that come into my messages feeling entitled, feeling as though they can talk to me a sort of way, and sometimes not even a sort of way that's necessarily rude, just a sort of way that you wouldn't talk to a stranger. But it's lessened over the years. I'd like to think it's partially because I've built up a community of respect within my own fan base, Or it could just be I'm not interesting enough to pick a fight with.
Well, fortunately, on this show, we approach some subjects that some people find not conducive to their philosophy and way of thinking. However, fortunately, the producer of this program filters those comments out for me because they think it might hurt my feelings, but it's okay. Absolutely. So when we're talking about people treating each other with courtesy and respect, treating each other people with kindness. And we talked about in the past how you've dealt with a disappointment because I know in your heart you wanted to be a performer.
Mm.
And that didn't pan out, so you pivoted and through some suggestions of others, because you have some artistic talent, you went to become a scene painter and a scene designer. And it seemed to work out for a while.
It did. And I was very happy in that part of my life. I love creation, I love theater, I love art. And I had a beautiful mix of those three in my life at that time. And I haven't really let go of those things. I still have theater in my life, being a professional wrestler. I still have painting in my life because I'll paint whenever I have the time. And now, something that is starting very soon is I will be creating art to sell to people. It's a very small scale, but I'm going to have a small space for myself in a local store where I'll be selling my own artwork for people.
Say more about that. Oh, hi, Jim Ellermeyer back again from Fishing Without Bait. And as we offer and express transparency, this is a shameless plug for a book that we are selling. This is a 365-day calendar where we have a Zen type of picture to draw with a caption, and then we ask some thoughtful questions that people can answer, such as, what are your general thoughts about the quote? What is the morning thought in the morning? What is your evening thought? And what will you do tomorrow to spread kindness? Okay? And the beauty of this is that it's not numbered. You can pick any page out. It's not numbered. You can pick any day out and pick any quote out you want, or not. So what we're doing, we're asking people to use this as some type of a mindfulness activity to start their day. When we start our day, not trying to race through the day or with anxiety, but rather maybe some introspective self-talk, some internal validation. And what we're doing here is this. Also, what we'd like to do, we're going to be offering some Patreon material, maybe some behind the themes things, or some of the podcasts that we've done where we take a deeper dive, and we'd like to get your thoughts on that. What would you like to see? Are there any podcasts that we've done where you would like us to do a deeper dive? So you can please contact the show, and we'd be glad to explore that. And as always, we're looking for stories of recovery. Everybody's in recovery from something. We like to know how you got here from there. And please be good to yourself. And yes, this is a shameless plug.
So most people will know whenever they walk into like a small antique store, a vintage shop, just, any sort of like store revolving around trinkets, there will be tables and shelving and little areas full of vendors, people selling, homemade candles, stickers, magnets. And I've always been fascinated, like seeing all of the incredible artwork you can just randomly find walking around one of these places. And my partner and I recently moved in together. We have one of those stores nearby us. And I got to thinking, how hard would it be to actually get space for myself and sell some artwork? And it turns out it's, at least for this store, a very easy process. So I pulled some money where I could. I bought a bunch of supplies, and now I'll have a bunch of stickers and paintings that'll be on display in this little store.
Okay, so you took a chance. There's a difference between a risk and a gamble. A gamble, you can lose everything. A risk, you can recover from.
Exactly.
So if you want to display some of those things, you can give it to our producer, and we can put a link out there because we love to promote local talent.
Yes, absolutely.
So you took a chance. Okay, you took a risk, and it's ships that never leave the harbor never go anywhere, do they?
Exactly. The risk hasn't quite taken off yet, um, just because I haven't set up the booth yet. Uh, but I'm confident in my ability with this risk. I've sold my artwork at my merchandise tables many times. I've designed stickers and t-shirts and other items for myself, and they've sold pretty well in the past, so I'm not afraid to do this. I'm actually really excited.
You have the willingness to try.
I do.
Okay. So most people, when they build a home, what they do is they put all the fancy stuff outside and inside. They decorate their home inside to do the lawn. But any construction worker will tell you that the most important part of any building is the foundation. So tell us about building the foundation of your life and going back over the podcast. And I hope people will review the past ones because it's an interesting story. So tell us about how you continue to build and firm that foundation of your life.
That's tough. The foundation of my life has honestly felt very unstable for a few years, mostly because I've had so many times where I've had to pick up and change directions and try something new. But I think the foundation of my life really starts with my loved ones, with my family, and now with my partner. I can always count on my parents, my brother, my partner to not only support me, but help me when I need it in picking me up, in helping me recover my footing, finding new opportunities, new resources, and whatnot. And I honestly think if I didn't have them, I would have failed a long, long time ago. And I wouldn't be wrestling anymore. I probably wouldn't have gotten the job with the CLO or with the company I'm with now. Things would be a lot different if I didn't have the support I have with my loved ones.
Well, quite often there's an illusion of separateness that people believe that we can do things on our own. We live in a society where they think that self will can conquer any problem, no matter what it is. And in the 12-step world, Jesse, what we talk about is a life run entirely on self will can hardly be a success. We need each other. So tell us about this sense of community that you've developed and how you interact and encourage and support each other.
There's a lot of give and take. There's when I have a bad day, I go, I cry, I lament to my partner. I have him help me feel better and all of that. But then when he's having a bad day, I do the exact same for him. When we're having good days, we celebrate that. We celebrate all of our accomplishments together. And the same thing with my family. Give and take. My brother's been on an incredible fitness journey and has lost a lot of weight, has gotten a lot healthier. And we both have bad times that we'll complain to each other about, but I make sure to celebrate his accomplishments as much as my own. Mm, My father is the head of IT at the international airport,
Mm,
and he has plenty to complain about.
I would think.
But when incredible things happen or when something very fun happens at work, we make sure to dwell on that as much as we do the complaints.
I think that's one thing that people don't know it do enough is they don't celebrate accomplishments.
It can be hard to it can be really hard to get people to recognize when they're doing something right. And I struggle with this too. There's a lot right that I've done in my life, a lot of really good things that I've done and accomplished. And on any given bad day, even if it's just a minor thing that set me off, it can be so hard for me to recognize that I have done good things. But that's why you build up that support before the bad days so that when they come along, the people supporting you can remind you of everything.
In our minds, we tend to minimalize our accomplishments and maximize our what we consider defects.
Exactly.
Because when we think that if we talk about our accomplishments to ourselves, we think that that's selfishness and self-centeredness and that's arrogance. But you know what? There's a big difference between confidence and arrogance. I'll bet you've met many arrogant people.
I've met plenty,
Yes.
a lot of whom I've never even met face to face.
Hmm. Okay. So the big difference between confidence and arrogance is people will follow a confident person. They want to be around them. People avoid arrogant people. And I would probably think that in the world of athletics, particularly the profession that you're in, there's probably some fairly substantial egos.
Oh, there's plenty. um, I mean, at the end of the day, you can't be a wrestler without a little bit of both. You have to be confident in what you're doing in the ring. Otherwise, you risk hesitating and creating an unsafe environment. And you almost have to have a little bit of arrogance to protect yourself. There's always going to be somebody that's going to say, they can't wrestle, they can't work, they're not good at this. And if you don't have the arrogance to stand up for yourself and say, oh, yes, I am, who's everybody going to believe at the end of the day?
When did you start to become confident with your listening to your own voice or hearing the sound of your own voice, Jessie?
I don't know if I can put a pin on when. It was very gradual.
Most young ladies begin to lose their self-confidence, self-esteem around the age of 9 years old. I didn't make that up. That's when the comparison game starts.
Yeah.
That's when social media, your friends, they put standards up there that you're supposed to copy or yearn toward.
For me, 9 years old is when I started noticing the weird comments my family would make in their attempts to compliment me. Oh, you'd so much cuter if you just didn't have the belly fat or stood a little straighter. Those little things that we tell each other, that we tell our kids, our grandkids, our whatevers, to, encourage them to be better. But when you're a kid, you don't see that. Even when you're an adult, you don't see that. You just see the criticism, pointing out the flaws.
Well, sure. If you go to the PCP and you have your annual physical and they go over all the blood work, you're doing great, you're doing a fine job, the nutrition, the exercise, all is working. And then on your way out, the physician could say, oh, by the way, you could lose about 10 pounds. What would you be taking away from that whole visit?
That you need to lose some weight.
Yes. Okay. So I like Mr. Rogers and I like his philosophy when he would look at somebody and say, I like you just the way you are.
I think that's a very good motto to live by.
I've met so many people, particularly young women, who often settle too much. They settle. They would tell me that, well, this person has potential. I have a lot to work with. So what I like to do, I like to build up self-concept and self-esteem, particularly with younger people, asking them, rather than create a profile, to create a profile about the requirements it takes to be with them. So what's some of the requirements it takes to be a friend of Jessie's? Join us next week when we continue our conversation with Jessie, the Unwilting Tatiana.
Please check out our website at fishingwithoutbait.com, where you can listen to the show, comment on our discussions, and find out where you can subscribe to our podcast. If you're interested in flying the colors of Fishing Without Bait, click the shop icon on our website. We have clothing, mugs, cell phone cases, and so much more. Show the world that you fish without bait. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.